All right. Welcome to the Nursing Podcast, episode 5.
Hello.
How does it feel to be number 5?
Number 5. I've never been number 5.
I don't think so either.
No, we're happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I really appreciate you guys being here. So we'll start with you, and then we'll go around.
Okay.
If you introduce yourself, name, and what you do, because you do look like a student a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, so
All
you
the
do
time.
look like a student. But just for clarifications, these are 2 faculty. Right?
We are.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. So name, what you do, how long you've been doing it for.
Okay. I am Professor Hannah Keene. I am a lecturer of nursing. This is my first semester. I started in January. I graduated from Gordon back in my ASN back in 2017. I've been a nurse for almost 8 years now, and I'm currently working on my master's in nurse education to pursue a full-time professor role.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Professor Kelly Wilson. I am associate professor here at Gordon State College. Let's see. So I've been a nurse for 30 years. This is my 30-year anniversary, actually, this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I feel every bit of it some days. But I'm also a Gordon State graduate. I got my ASN here in 1995, and then I worked for 20 years, very happy in my career. And the Lord started pulling me in a different direction to start teaching. So I left, full-time work to go into the RN to BSN bridge here as well. So I graduated here at RN to BSN bridge in 2016, then went on to the University of West Georgia to get my master's and graduated there in 2020. But prior to that graduation with my master's degree in education, I was part-time clinical instructor, and you were too, Professor King.
You're the reason I am an instructor. I did not want to do education at first.
Okay.
And she was like, you need to come do instruction. She brought me into an alumni meeting one day. It's like, hey, she's going to be one of our instructors next semester. I was like, I ain't got time for that. And next thing you know, Dr. Bishop is emailing me, hey, I need you to fill out this application. And I was like, what? And then next thing you know, here I am, and I fell in love with it just because she pulled me in there.
Yeah, but that was a good move. That was a really good move for us here at Gordon. So anyway, I started teaching part-time in clinical setting, and I did that for 3.5 years when I had my bachelor's degree, because you have to have a minimum of bachelor's to do clinical instructor. And I fell in love with it, and I said, well, what do I need to do in order to do this full-time? And Professor King remembers this conversation, and I was like, well, I need to go get a master's at minimum. So that's when I decided to go back and go to grad school. And so I have been full-time now right at 5.5 years here at Gordon. And I have loved it. So yeah. And so you did part-time clinical instructor for how long before you came full-time?
Let's see. I started in 2022, August of 2022, and about a year, 2023 was when I went back to pursue my master's at the University of West Georgia. So I've been doing part-time and clinical instructing for about 3 years.
Okay.
And then came on full-time in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that you bridged from ASN to BSN, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you bridge?
Mhm.
Okay. So do you have to bridge from ASN to BSN in order for you to pursue a master's?
You do not.
You do not.
No, it depends on, because there are different levels of master,
Okay.
degrees in nursing that you can do nurse education like we have done. You can do clinical manager. You can do advanced practice nursing, like in the nurse practitioner realm, if you like. And all of those are master's degrees.
Okay.
So there are some schools that do offer straight RN to masters. They're rare, and most of them are out of state. I don't know. I think I know one school here in Georgia that does it. Georgia State, I believe.
Okay.
But other than that, no, you typically need a BSN minimum,
A BSN.
Mhm.
typically.
Okay. And you said both of you are clinical instructors, right?
Mhm.
All right. This is so much fun now.
Mm-hmm.
Because clinical is my favorite part to talk about in this podcast, because there's so much happening in clinicals, and you guys have heard the episodes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
give me your stories. I want to hear what it's all about.
So we also both teach in the classroom too.
Mhm.
So we lecture and we do clinical.
Mhm.
So I think my first and main question is, what is a clinical instructor?
So clinical instructor, excuse me, just basically takes a group of students to the clinical setting, and we have, several facilities that host Gordon students along with other schools of nursing. And you take them to the clinical site for at least sometimes 8.5 hour day, 9 hour day sometimes. And what you're doing is you're allowing them to take care of patients to get that hands-on experience. However, you have a set of clinical objectives, learning objectives that you have in mind for that student, and that's different every semester. So the goal is to take them from basically a novice nurse, with some type of experience before they graduate. So, and we take them, before COVID, we used to take our first semester students to long-term care, like nursing homes, to get their basic skills, like.
That's where I was.
Yeah, that's exactly where mine was too. So basic skills like vital signs, mobility, bed baths. Yeah, just a general feeding, safety, stuff like that. But when COVID hit, the nursing homes were highly impacted by the COVID virus, so they closed it off to clinical entirely.
Okay.
And here at Gordon, we've just not gone back to that environment. So our first semester students actually start off in the hospital acute care setting.
Okay.
And so each semester, the state of Georgia says that the Georgia Board of Nursing says that we can have 10 students per clinical group, which that's a lot. And so Ms. Parker is our clinical coordinator, and she does a wonderful job. She has a very complex job, and she actually makes sure that each instructor only has 8 students at a time, which is a lot more doable. And clinical happens to be my favorite because that's when you can kind of really get in there and have some individualized teaching time with the students. So, but to answer your question, each semester they go to clinical and they progress with a different set of learning objectives that climb that Bloom's taxonomy in order to get them to be, graduate level students in order to practice.
Okay, so when you say we take them, this is what's running through my mind.
Like we all get on a bus and go?
Exactly.
No.
You're like, all right, let's go. We're taking you here.
No, it's not a field trip.
No.
It's not? Okay, so what so you guys are the coordinators, I'm assuming, or
I am.
You're the coordinator.
Professor Keene hasn't yet, but she'll be there one day.
Okay. So what do you do?
Like in the clinical setting?
Yeah.
Or like in the role at Gordon right now?
I mean, both, but I would guess more in the clinical setting because you're a clinical instructor.
My typical day with the students is they meet us at the clinical facility. So you start off your day like you would as a nurse. We get there at 6:30, shift changes at 6:45, and we get them in there seeing what it means to be a nurse. See report, go assess your patients. And I know Professor Wilson as well. We give them an assignment and kind of send them out there, not on their own, but to kind of build autonomy at certain levels of being comfortable going into rooms, not having us hold their hand through everything.
Wait. Are you guys actually at the hospital?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we meet them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We act as, we are nurses, but we act as more of the liaison between the nurses, I feel like. And we help those nurses take care of their patients while teaching our students at the same time.
Well, maybe y'all should get a bus. I'm just saying. No, but okay, so you have a class about what, let's say 40, 50.
It varies anywhere from 45 to I've had as many as like 62 students in a classroom.
So I'm assuming that you do not have 45 students in one hospital.
No.
So how do you guys split the work? Are you at a hospital at one day and then you go to another hospital another day?
So we have all of the instructors, typically most of our instructors here that work full-time on campus also do clinical as well. So we get 8 students apiece and we have our own schedules. And so like my particular day is Wednesday, yours is what, Fridays?
Mine was Friday this semester.
Yeah, but we have a clinical coordinator that does all of that for us. She works all the logistics out for that. But we also have a lot of part-time or adjunct faculty that come in and take students that are not full-time employed. They do not lecture, and so they only do clinical. That's how both of us started out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was talking, this is more episode number 4, and it recently got released, I think yesterday. And when I was talking to the students, I felt something was off because I said, once you get to clinical, do you hit the ground running, or what is it exactly? Because I was thinking for myself, I have about 11 years of work experience.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought was, like any other job, you check in with someone meets you. Hey, my name is Ali. I'm from Gordon State College. I'm supposed to be here for clinicals.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to talk to? And then they talk to you, tell you what they expect, kind of thing. And then you can start, hit the ground running. But they made it sound like, you come in through the doors. It's like, you come here.
Yeah, I think I can clarify that a little better. I think I can clarify that. So when they are in their first 3 semesters, now I'm talking about the ASN program right now, first, second, and third, they have a clinical instructor that oversees them. So they meet at a certain time, they get assignments from that instructor for the day, and they actually work up under that instructor's nursing license.
Okay.
And so they're completely supervised the whole day. Now, they may shadow another nurse that's on staff with the facility for the day as their clinical assignment, but they are highly supervised.
Okay.
Now, in 4th semester ASN and 5th semester BSN, they go to Practicum, which is a little different. Okay, that is where a Gordon instructor is not with them. They are assigned a preceptor at the hospital, typically, or whatever facility they're going to, and they work 12-hour shifts, 36 hours a week with that preceptor. Now, that's a different rodeo for them because they actually feel like, oh, I wish my instructor was here. What do I do? So the preceptor agrees to kind of take them under their wing and show them, the culture of the hospital, how to follow policy and procedures and all of that, in addition to knowing what their clinical learning outcomes are.
Okay.
So 4th semester ASN and 5th semester BSN are totally different clinical experiences. That's more of a transition to practice type of thing, if you will, versus the other groups that we take in earlier semesters where they're highly supervised.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Does that help clarify some?
It does help clarify.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? It's not as, it doesn't sound as bad.
So so to kind of give you a little idea, like in 4th semester ASN, the students come to campus when the semester starts. They come to class for the first 7 weeks, and that is all instructional time only. They do not go to clinical at all. So they do all of the coursework in the first 7 weeks. The last 7 weeks of the course, they are strictly with their preceptor at the hospital. They don't even come back to campus.
Okay.
Except for final exams, basically.
Okay. You were going to say something.
And you got to think, when you're starting a job, you get like that time to orient and stuff like that. The first 3 semesters, that's pretty much what we're doing with them. We're starting at a lower base, and each semester we're getting higher and higher. So when you get to that 4th or 5th semester, you can kind of just be thrown out there kind of to an extent with supervision, but we're not there. So each semester is building on itself to help you get more comfortable by that last semester.
Yeah,
But then at least you would have had 2 or 3 semesters as experience.
Absolutely.
So they're not.
Yes. We're not just throwing them out there.
Yeah. So you don't drive the bus, park outside the hospital, and you're like, get out.
Get out.
You know,
go. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're good.
No.
Oh, good luck. And if you need help, don't call us.
They may feel that way, but no.
No.
So what is the difference between ASN and BSN, clinical and practicum wise?
So when you graduate with your ASN, it's a 2-year degree. When you graduate with your BSN, it's essentially a 4-year degree with only 1 additional semester. So they both take the same NCLEX exam, the same board exam. So they're licensed in the same way. However, in the BSN, because they come out with a bachelor's, they have room to grow. Some hospitals require that they have a BSN to be employed. Some do not. Some may hire an ASN graduate with the contingency that they get their BSN. With the BSN, they can do additional things, like if they want to climb the corporate ladder, if you will, get into management, take on other roles within the hospital, such as like quality assurance, infection control, things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much. Now there are different learning objectives that we have here at Gordon for ASN versus BSN. And so it all falls under the program objectives. And so ASN lines up and BSN lines up under the umbrella of the entire program objectives. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, the BSN has that extra research-based as
Correct.
opposed to the ASN. You're showing why we do what we do and how we back it up.
True.
That's the additional courses in the BSN as opposed to the ASN.
In addition to a community course that they take also. And they take both of those in the summer, the community and the research component.
So the reason why I'm asking is because I think it's interesting that you guys both graduated from the ASN program. And I also found out that bridging is really easy. So you don't really need to do much. I mean, it's just one semester and then...
It's 3 semesters.
The bridge program itself, yes, is 3 semesters. Now, there is to also help answer your question, there's additional core, as you know, for the BSN versus the ASN. So if we have an ASN graduate that is interested in bridging, there will be additional core that they need to complete.
Okay, so let's say they complete all the core years and you're just there for the bridge. So you have all pre-requirements. How long does it take? Is it still 3 semesters?
Yeah, 3 semesters.
Yep,
that's
it's
it.
Spring, summer, fall. It's a year. It's very doable, very easy. I did it during the middle of COVID, going back to get my BSN, all online, other than one community clinical or something like that. It was so doable.
So I because my understanding was, and I don't even get where I got this from right now, but it felt like, okay, so your ASN, you just bridge half a year and then, you're good to go. I mean, 1 semester. But apparently that's
it's
not
3.
It's 3.
Okay. But it's not as intense, anywhere as intense as normal nursing school, is it?
No, it's very doable, like Professor Keene said. And most of our students work. I mean, so the advantage is you graduate with your RN, you get out your license, you begin working, you get experience, you're earning an income. And then, so when I did the RN to BSN here, it was back in 2016, we had to come to class once a week for an 8-hour day. So it has really progressed where it is now fully online. A lot of the clinical is not face-to-face anymore. They use shadow health for a lot of the clinical. And so, yeah, it's very conducive for working.
So if you don't have a lot of debt, you could basically do ASN, go out, take a nursing job, and then bridge while doing the ASN job.
Absolutely.
And by the time you're done with the ASN, or by the time you're done with the bridge, you can be debt free.
Sure.
Right?
If that's your world.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
We also have a BSN. You don't have to go ASN, then BSN bridge. We have a BSN program.
Just pre-licensure BSN.
Okay.
So you don't have to do the ASN and then bridge over. You can go straight through. There's that option as well if you already have all your BSN core done. I know when I came here, they did not have the BSN program yet. They only had a bridge.
Okay.
So I started ASN because they didn't have the 4-year program yet.
Okay. And this program you're talking about, how do you apply for it?
Same way you do the ASN. The application process is completely online. Yeah.
Okay, so you apply, and then what do you say it does? You go for ASN, but it's added to it?
No, so it's 3 different. We actually have 4 programs, so we can clarify that. So we have ASN 2-year degree.
Okay.
That's just apply and go and get your 2-year degree. We have a pre-licensure BSN, which means you have no other license, no nursing license whatsoever, and you come and get your 4-year nursing degree. Then we have a RN to BSN, which means you have to have you are already an RN and you're coming into bridge to do the 3 additional semesters for the BSN. And then we haven't touched on this yet, but we also have an LPN paramedic bridge.
Okay.
We have always had a LPN to RN bridge. So we have LPNs that come in and they typically join the ASN cohort in second semester because they already have everything that's done in first semester, foundations, that type of thing, and just go 3 semesters and bridge from LPN to RN. However, we didn't have really good response from LPNs because it was hard to do that. It was basically full-time on campus, and these are working individuals, and so it was hard. So we kind of brainstormed that and came up with the LPN bridge and included paramedics in it, and it's its own program. So those students, LPN and paramedic, will come out with an ASN degree when they are finished.
Okay.
And it's 3 semesters.
And paramedics are EMTs, I'm assuming.
Paramedics is one step above an EMT.
Yeah.
One step above. Okay. Okay.
So we really have 4 programs here.
You have 4 What am I in?
You're going to be at the BSN. We'll get you, Ollie. Don't worry. We will take good care of you.
Hey, I mean, with all this information, with all this information right now, it's something that I've touched on, I think, every single episode, and I think I'll just keep on beating this, what do you say, dead horse?
Yeah.
Yeah, is the more information you have, the easier your college journey or adventure will be. So you'll find in and outs, which professors, you should connect with for what different purposes. And it just makes your journey so much easier. And that's something I've loved doing. But I've been trying to tell this to my other classmates. They don't get it. And this is one of the reasons why I said, you know what? I will just start this podcast. Put the information out there.
I think it's fantastic.
Whoever wants to use this information, it's there. It's free. You do whatever you need to do. Take all the information that you need. Do whatever you want. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons. But also, I want to prepare people as much as possible because people freak out. People freak out a lot, especially when it comes to nursing. I don't know. This is a different... Nursing students are a different breed.
Completely agree.
Yep.
Okay. So we have talked about this. I don't know how much your experience is with normal students. I'm going to say normal, non-nursing students, but nursing students are very serious students.
Absolutely.
Especially here on campus.
They've worked very hard to get to where they are.
So they're very serious. Once they get in, they're the more serious before nursing, but once they get into nursing, it's like, we're locking in now.
Absolutely.
This is it. No messing around. Core years is very different.
Oh, yeah.
So have you guys had any experience with the core years?
I mean, I went and did my core here.
Okay.
And then went into the ASN program, and it was completely different. It was a culture shock coming from core to the nursing program. I didn't have to study much in core. I didn't have to do anything. And then boom, the nursing program hits me. I was like, oh my goodness, what did I sign up for? Mind you, it's just a different way of thinking. You have to figure out different ways to study. It's so doable, but it's a completely different culture in the way that you have to prepare and study and think. It's a very advanced way of thinking.
That's what I've experienced too, because I'm not going to out myself here in the sense, but I really haven't studied. For a lot of the things we do in core years, I didn't study because I was listening to what the professor was saying. I was taking some notes, but then it stuck with me in the sense of this is important. This is what you need to know. And then you open up a book and read a little bit about it. But I didn't spend the countless hours that you hear students say, I spent, sleepless nights trying to get this test done. And I'm like,
oh no, I always slept. I always made sure I slept.
Yeah,
I was not missing my sleep.
Yeah, I was asking myself, I was like, where is this? And for finals, as someone coming, from outside of the United States, the finals are basically the final test that either makes you into something or just breaks you completely. I mean, you either live or die kind of thing. That's what we have. Oh my God, I'm stressing. The finals are so important. And I came here and I was like, what finals are you guys talking about? What am I missing here? You know what I mean? It's a normal test, but it's also, if you do everything correctly, you may not need to take your finals. Because some professors combine the finals with oh, we will drop one of your tests, and it can be your
Right.
final kind of thing.
That's all. That type of thing is only in core.
I was about
That's
to say,
what I'm saying.
we don't drop the final.
No, you won't see anything like
Mm-mm.
that in the nursing program at all. So
Okay. So one thing, and I don't want you to share something that is, I want to say illegal, but you're not allowed to share here. But testing in nursing,
Mhm.
because I know it's a little bit different. I've seen you guys come into computer, classes, and you take your tests there. What would you say is the most important thing for testing? Like coming in as a student, taking your first test, because you, like we're saying, we have transitioned from core where you almost don't have to study,
Mhm.
you don't need to do much, and then you come into nursing. This is your first test. You announce, hey, your test is in 2 weeks now. What is the most important thing for a student to think about, even before getting to those 2 weeks before the test?
I would say the difference between testing in core classes and testing in nursing is just like Professor Keene was saying, it's a different level. So we highly rely on Bloom's taxonomy. And we share this with students. And a lot of students recognize it from when they were exposed to that methodology in their FIRE course.
Let me just ask you, because I have no idea what that is. And probably people won't understand what is that.
So Bloom's taxonomy is a model that we use in academia to help the student go from basically beginner learning that foundation, where you basically, like in your core classes, really just have to remember information. It's straight memorization, honestly, on a lot of it. Now, in your science classes, of course, you have to apply some of that knowledge, but in some of your other core classes, it's just that basic foundation. But Bloom's taxonomy, a lot of illustrations are it's in a triangle, and so you go from like remembering to understanding to applying, all the way up to where you're actually creating new things. And so as you progress up that pyramid, you're basically learning how to critically think.
Okay.
So your first nursing exam, it's always a culture shock because it's nothing like your core class examinations. You have to learn how to critically think. So that first test is always a big shocker, but it's kind of like that in the first test in every new semester within the nursing program, because you have new professors and so on and so forth. But you're constantly learning information that you're constantly building on for that foundation. So you're always still building that foundation of Bloom's, but you're also climbing at the same time as you learn more content. So I would say that the biggest shock for the students is going from, I did great in my core classes, I got A's in everything, but I get to nursing, I can barely make a 75 to stay alive. Because and that's too, the grading scale is different in the nursing program as well. You have to have a 75 to pass.
Okay.
And so if a student makes a 74.9,
there is no rounding up.
Correct. So there's a higher, it's more rigorous for sure. And so I think just that culture shock of coming into like, oh my gosh, I've really got to start applying this. And just the content itself is very complex. And so, yeah, I think that's their biggest problem.
Yeah, I could say the thing for me is I could remember anything. Give me a flashcard, I could do it. But when my first semester in the ASN program for pharmacology, that's what I tried to do, and I bombed it. Like, I struggled my first semester because I thought I just had to remember. But the questions are not just remembering information, and this is what I tell my students in pharmacology now. It's, hey, you need to know this is a signs and symptoms. What do you look for to know that there's a problem? You're not just learning the signs and symptoms. You need to learn stuff that goes with it to anticipate.
So let me ask you this, because you said you bombed it. Does that mean you actually failed?
No. I did okay. I did very well compared to other students, but for my own self, I did not do as well as I wanted to. I struggled my first semester because I didn't know how to study.
Did you fail any tests?
I don't think so. I think I was borderline in pharmacology, maybe like a 75. And like I said, I was always an all A student. So when I had that, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
And did you fail any tests?
I didn't fail any individual exams. I will say my lowest grade in the ASN when I was here in the 90s was definitely in pharmacology. That is a tough subject for students.
But you have seen, I'm assuming, people who have failed the test.
Absolutely.
And then made it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right, so listen to that. That is, for whoever is listening, you do not need to fear failing a test. I mean, you shouldn't aim to fail a test, of course, but there you go.
The thing I can say the most about that is from that first test, you don't know how these teachers test. You're still learning. It's different than your other core classes, but you have to be willing to adapt and change your learning and study style. I was always flashcards, but I had to go to a whole different chart system to memorize and learn these drugs and these disease processes. So you have to be willing to not always do what you used to do. You have to come up with new ideas. You have to start early. You can't compartmentalize and study for one class and then 2 days before study for the next test. You cannot do that. It's not one of those things that you can just put one off. You have to study both daily. And it is a full-time commitment. Like, I didn't have a life in nursing school.
Right.
So it's very challenging, but it's meant to be that way because it is such a, the profession is challenging in and of itself.
Absolutely. And so evidence shows, so back up and say this. I did a seminar probably a couple of years ago called Student Success Seminars. And in that, I did a lot of research to see, to answer a lot of these questions that we're talking about. And so research shows that for nursing students to be successful, they need to be studying an hour and a half per hour that they are in class. An hour and a half per hour that they are in class. So if you take
I've heard that before. That's why I'm looking. Okay.
And so let's just take the cohort that we have right now in third semester. They need to be studying a minimum of 6 hours a week for one class, minimum. And so, if a student fails a test, we offer them to come in and sit with their faculty contact to sit down and look to see, hey, what happened on this test? Are you missing the content? Are you changing answers? Or what's going on? And so in that process, we kind of take them and mentor them, and we teach them these types of study things. We also highly recommend that they go to the Student Success Center because a lot of times students is just, transitioning from core to nursing, and you're handling class time, lab time, clinical, and it's just some students just have a problem with organization. And so we send them to the Student Success Center, and they help them with things like that. We have tutors there in the Student Success Center. We have a student right now that was she had an interest in medical school, and she had a change of heart and is coming actually to the nursing program.
Is it Alyssa?
Yeah.
Shout out to Alyssa.
Yay!
Yeah, I know her. I actually made sure to be in her group.
Great.
Because I was like, you know what? You know your stuff. You're very serious, and then I'm trying to put myself into a group of
That's very important.
Individuals who want to strive for the better.
Absolutely. I tell students all the time, if you want to run faster, you have to pace with someone faster than you.
Yeah. We touched actually on this on one of the episodes where we said it's the same thing. Okay, think about this. When you work somewhere and you want to be a high achiever, they tell you be with the high achievers, because if you're with them or close to them, you will start achieving more. But if you're with people who are not achieving, don't want to achieve, you will start achieving less,
right? Because
it depends on who you're with,
right?
And that's why in nursing, I'm planning to do that. So and I think it's and every single nursing student I've talked to has really touched on. You need a good group.
Oh, you do.
You cannot do this alone.
And it's one of those things that I touch on this in my student success seminar. When you go to your study group, you have to study before you get there.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not bringing anything to the table.
Okay.
You're slowing the group down. And so you have to have some type of base of knowledge before you get there so that then you can start learning from each other.
And I didn't do a study group when I was in nursing school because I felt like I didn't process the content. Somebody else was answering for me in the study group. So some of these students will carry you and you don't even realize it. And then you get to the test and you're like, wait a second, I thought I knew the information, but the other student knew it, and you were not learning it as you went. Somebody was filling in for you. So the studying before a study group is the biggest thing you can do. It's like teaching. You have to know the content and be able to teach it. You can't just go in and expect to learn it while somebody else is teaching. I don't quite know how to say it, but you'll get carried by other students, and then you go to a test, and then you don't know it like you thought you knew it.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I sit down with a lot of students after an exam that they may not have passed, and when we're looking at what happened, sometimes they know the content, they don't know how to apply the content, or they think they know it, but they only know so much of it, or they get it confused with other content. And sometimes they overread the question or underread the question, because nursing questions are totally different.
Yeah, that's what I heard. There is no right answer. It's what fits the best right here.
Which orange is the most orange?
Yeah. We always say there's always two right answers.
Yeah.
You got to choose the best right answer.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes.
Which orange?
It's the most orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they always said in nursing school when I was there. They're like, it's looking at 4 different oranges and which one's the most orange, and they're all the same color orange.
Yeah.
So that's how we always joked about that in nursing school. That's what it felt like.
Oh my God, this reminds me of a scene from The Office. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Oh, I'm watching it right now.
Yeah. So where one of the characters is like, corporate wants us to know the difference or see the difference of these two things. They're the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I go into a test and I flunk it. I do, 70, 65, whatever have you. Let's actually do 2. So let's say you got a 74 or 74.9 to make it, worse.
Yeah.
And then 65. So I get called in.
You don't get called in. It's voluntarily.
Okay, so I go in and say, okay, hey, I flunked this test. So what happens? I mean, I talk to you, but what happens after?
So we also have an AIMS coordinator, Miss Mary Williams. We refer those students to her as well, and she meets with them individually. And these are resources on top of, your study groups, your student success center, all those kinds of things. She sits down with them and she actually looks at other things in detail, like, what does that student have going on in their life outside of school? Are they working? How many hours? Are they sleeping? Because, we chunk our information, our brains chunk it when we sleep. So, you studying 24/7 before the exam is not productive.
Bingo.
Yeah. I don't get a little ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say, I always went to bed. I tell students all the time, you need to go to bed, like stop studying at 6, 7 o'clock that night and go to bed. Because if you don't, you stay up all night studying, you're not fresh the next day. The thing I would always do, it comes 6 o'clock the night before a test, I would shut my books, pop a thing of popcorn, and watch a movie and go to bed early.
See, it's interesting that you're saying that, because there is something that I've been noticing a lot lately with people around me at the college, and they say, I feel that I need to study till 10 because I don't get it. It's like, bruh, I don't care about your feelings. There is a science that says, if you can't stay up till 4 a.m.
Right.
and then go to a test at 8 because you think that's going to help you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't do that. But, you have to work against those feelings, really.
Yeah.
And actually do what needs to be done.
Right.
So that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Also, kind of circling back a little bit about what the exams are like. Any nursing student will tell you, like you just said, which one's the orangest of the 4? Oranges?
Yeah. More orange.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Let's see. We have less orange, more orange, orangest, and orangiest.
There we go.
You know what? I might actually start bringing an orange and just putting it here
on the table.
The table for all future podcasts and
go.
be like, this is what you can expect.
Nice. But so what we're trying to do is ultimately prepare them, one, to be a fantastic nurse, but we also we would not do them any favors if we are not preparing them to pass the NCLEX. And so, you can go to school and you can get this wonderful diploma to hang on your wall, but if you can't pass the NCLEX at the end of the day, then you really have done this for nothing, because you can't practice without it.
So I've heard about the NCLEX, and the first time I heard about it in the real sense, I know that it's a test you need to take in order for you to get your license.
Correct.
But then I saw a clip on TikTok that was like, when you hit submit or next after question 68 and you continue on, and then I went into the comments and it was like, yeah, 248 questions. I was like, what? Is that like is it a test that keeps on going until it's
So it's adaptive.
okay?
And so what I mean by that is the computer is smart enough to understand if you're doing well in a subject, then you may only get a handful of questions about that subject. Let's just take, for instance, OB.
That was my worst one on the NCLEX.
Okay.
That's all I got.
So the computer, the Intel on the computer can tell that the student's not doing well in that subject matter, and it's going to keep throwing them questions in that content until they can show a level of proficiency. And so if proficiency is here, start the test, end the test. If you can maintain that proficiency in 75 questions, which is the minimum, great, perfect. Okay. The maximum number of questions now is 180. It has greatly reduced. When I took the exam, it was 250 max. I passed in 75, but so anyway, the national board has reduced that to 150 max. So let's say we got this start to finish. Maybe the student does well and is well above proficiency for several questions, but then dips down in this subject matter. It's going to continue to give them, and let's say they yo-yo all over the whole place, okay? But until they get to a level of where they are up at that level and maintain it for a certain amount of time, that's how they're determined if they're are proficient enough to pass the exam.
So
that's why it's adaptive.
So you're telling me that there's a chance that you'd finish all your 184 questions, 185 questions, you said?
As a minimum of 75, a max of 180.
Oh, 180. So you're saying a max. So if you reach 180 and the system doesn't see you as proficient, you have to retake it.
Yes.
Okay, and how many times can you retake it?
As many times as you like.
Okay, so there is no like you have 3 chances and then
No.
you're out. Okay.
But some students, they may yo-yo or show that level of proficiency within 75.
There is hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'm not running
I
this
like
podcast.
it. I like it.
There is hope. So one thing that I've heard about you guys, and this is not blowing smoke up your but behind. No, I don't want to use, I'm a little bit bad with that. French is what I call it. But one thing that I've heard and actually experienced so far with every single professor I've interacted with, because I haven't interacted with everyone, you guys are fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
In the sense of, I ask you a question, you always have time to answer a question. What it feels like, even though you may not have time. But you're also on a level with the students of, hey, I need to ask you this. And it's kind of personal, or can I find, a loophole or something? You won't be like, no, you can't do that. You'll be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can do that. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? So what's the secret?
The secret.
Yeah, I mean, like, how come you guys are like that? because like I said, all professors I've talked to or faculty have been fantastic.
Like it
do you
comes
guys
across as we care? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
because we do.
It feels like you what is it called? Bend over backwards, to help the students, and that's not the case throughout college.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. So we heavily believe in student success.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of like you said, just because we care.
We do. Mm-hmm.
But it's also just part of nursing. Like, you're teaching these students to care for others, so why would you not care for them?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it have anything to do with you guys have actually been nurses? Because you guys both have been on the field as nurses.
And we still do.
We
Okay.
still work at the bedside.
Really?
Both of us do.
Yep.
Okay.
Not all professors do that, which is fine. But Professor Keene and I do. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like, I don't know. It's just, well, you've recently graduated 8 years ago, and you're in grad school now. It hasn't been that long since I got my master's, and I tell students like I've been where you are. Like I completely get it. You know, I have felt the stress that you feel. So it's relatable, is what I'm saying. And so you want to see them succeed. You have students that come to your office, and it just becomes about relationships as well. I mean, yes, it's still a student to professor relationship, but these are people. These are people that you learn to care and love, and so you want them to be successful. So you do go out of your way to make sure that they are, and so. We also lean on each other as faculty, too. Like I may come to Professor Keene and say, hey, I've seen this student struggling. Are they struggling in your course? What can we do to help this student? We see that often. And so we collaborate a lot in that way. And we try to give the students all the resources that we can. And we just love on them. Life happens, even in nursing school, and that's hard. And so we just try to be there for them and love on them through it as well, but still hold them to a level of accountability at the same time.
Yeah. Accountability. That word pops up in every episode, and self-awareness. But
Absolutely.
accountability seems to be the biggest and baddest.
Well, it's because when you go out and you practice on your own, you're accountable for you.
For everything that you do with that patient.
Yeah, you're accountable. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, since you like the button so much, this is a shout out to all nursing faculty and staff, but also extra shout out to the Gordon staff.
Thank you.
I mean, really, they've been. I mean, ever since I started Gordon and I started interacting with the faculty here, just to get a hold of what I need to do, because I like to be ahead of things. I can't do last minute things. Because of being an international, your deadlines are a little bit different.
Sure.
So you need to have paperwork, done. You need to know exactly what you need to do. There is no, oh, you messed up. You know what? You could wait a semester or do that. No, you can't. So you have to be on your things and just have everything figured out. So because of that, I started talking to Dr. Vilches and Dr. Bishop early on.
Good for
and
you.
I still have
That's very proactive on your part.
I still have a screenshot of her, her correcting me on my roadmap because I was not happy with the roadmap I received from my advisor, so I made one myself. So I sat down, I had no idea what I was doing, by the way. So, and you could see that on the paper, and I'll try to put it in the video. And then you could see, nope, you do not take this. You do this instead. You remove this. You add this and all that. And then she said, apply for nursing. So when was it? What you apply in December, right?
Yeah, she probably gave you a date
she
to
said,
apply.
December 24. I said, okay, that's what we will do.
Look, and to give Dr. Bishop a shout out, I mean, I know she's our director, but she can advise like a boss. You know what I mean? Like it's like what she says is golden when it comes to that. So, yeah.
So shout out to Dr. Bishop.
Yes, absolutely.
So one thing I want to touch base on is I love clinicals. I've always said this. Give me a gun and put me on the field. That's where I learn the best. You cannot, I could sit in class and I can just, I don't know what it is.
You're a hands-on kind of
I'm a very hands-on person.
Same.
I am a very, very hands-on person. I cannot sit in class and focus for a very long time and then be like, okay, I understand everything. That's not how I function. But something I found out is that whatever you're reading in nursing, you actually apply in clinical. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we're reading about, give me something because I don't know. I mean,
Congestive
pharmacology
heart
is
failure or pharmacology. Yeah, all the medicines you're giving them daily.
okay. So if you do pharmacology or congestive heart failure, you apply that in your clinicals.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's part of what the clinical instructor does. Like that instructor knows what semester they're in, what content they're learning at the time, and so they will try to find patients that connect with what they're learning in class at the time so that they can make those connections. I always say I love clinical. That's my favorite as well. But I always say that's where the magic happens because you can see the students' light bulbs going off So yeah.
We touched base on this. When I was here on my orientation, the absolute first orientation, you know how they split you all
Mhm.
into groups. I went to the nursing room, and then we were sitting in this big classroom. You know which one I'm talking about? The bottom,
114.
yeah, at the
Yep.
bottom floor.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't paying attention. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, so I was not mentally ready to start college.
Okay,
And
so when you get to our class, we're going to need you to be on the
Yeah.
front row, Ollie.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I could tell you that I wasn't ready to start college back then. Okay, I was just not mentally in it, and I did not like it. But one thing that did catch my attention was this: you guys had a quote from the Arabic quote that I know, which basically says, "Tell me and I'll forget. Join me and I may show me and I may remember. Join me and I will understand."
That's fantastic.
You know
I love it.
which one
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys still have that for orientation, and I'm talking normal orientation, not nursing orientation. So new student orientation.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm impressed. I am very, very impressed
Mhm.
because I've never heard that saying before, especially in English. So I know that it's a common one in Arabic, but then I was thinking to myself, I was like, maybe, just maybe, there is hope here. All right, but you guys have showed that that's how you guys operate.
Yeah.
So
too.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, we try.
So now we're going to my favorite part.
Okay.
What should students not do in clinicals, and what is something?
Oh.
This is why I love this stuff. Okay, let's go. This is my.
Do you want to start?
What
Okay,
what
let's.
am I allowed to say and not? No,
I
I'm
was
just
about to
kidding.
say.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
We're gonna do two things. So one thing is what should students not do, and then while you're talking about it and listening to each other talk, think about a story that you can share that's just like bad, and then a good story that's good, because we don't want to be all negative here. But I'm just, I mean, obviously, this is for people. Do not do this kind of thing. So I can give you an example. Some students here, when I told them what should you not do for a lab, they said do not show up in booty shorts. I mean,
Agree.
Yeah.
which is kind of a given, but it's funny because I was talking to Missy Parker, which is another faculty here. She's like, nope, cover your boobs, cover your butt. I was like, oh.
Yes.
I said, do people actually do that
Yeah.
for lab?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you have to be in a professional setting,
Absolutely.
of course. But let's do clinicals, because we have you in clinicals here. We have the experience. I don't want to talk about labs class. Let's do specific clinicals. What should a student not do?
Arrive late
Mhm.
Okay.
My pet
and
peeve.
come unprepared.
Mhm.
Okay. What does come unprepared look like?
Not in uniform, because we got a really strict protocol for that or policy for that. Don't come in looking like you just ran out, fell
Rolled
out of
out of
bed, disheveled.
Mhm.
Okay.
I did have one student, funny story. She was a great student. She was a new mom. She had a lot on her plate. She was in uniform and she was sitting down. I was giving her a report. I looked down and she had on 2 different color fluorescent socks. And I was like, those socks are fantastic, but did you know they don't match and they're not in uniform code? And she was like, I got dressed in the dark, Miss Wilson. I didn't realize. I was like, it's fine. But anyway, yeah, it's very unprofessional to show up late because, when you go to work for a hospital, you clock in late 3 times, you're gone.
Mhm.
That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
That is-
Yeah.
That is my pet peeve.
Mhm.
Like, if you can ask any of my clinical students, you show up late, we're going to have an issue. Because as a nurse, if I'm working a 12-hour shift and the person behind me coming on shows up 15, 20 minutes late, I'm 15, 20 minutes late getting home. And that's not fair, because if I show up early, then it just messes up everybody's shift. It's not fair, and we're a profession. We show up on time.
Yeah.
So my pet peeve is you better show up on time.
So do what the Japanese do. Be 15 minutes early.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
that's you being on time.
Yes.
Right.
There is no.
Mm-hmm.
You start at 12, you're there 11:59.
Oh yeah, my mom
no.
used to say I'd rather be 30 minutes early than 1 minute late.
And I was petrified when I was in nursing school. It was if you showed up a minute late, you were sent home. So it's a little bit different, I feel like now.
Wait, in nursing school or clinical?
Clinical nursing school, yeah.
Okay,
clinical.
because I've heard 15 minutes is what you guys do today.
That's
before
what's in our
sending you home.
policy. That's in
Okay.
our student handbook. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, being prepared is reading your student handbook, reading your course syllabus, of course, being on time, being ready to learn, and just having the right attitude.
Yeah.
So the student handbook is like a code.
Oh,
a
yeah.
student code. You follow it to the T.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the nursing student handbook is different than the college.
Okay.
So, it's very specific.
Another big thing for a nursing student, and I'm putting it out there so they can know this when they get into the nursing program. Please, please, please do not give any medications without your clinical instructor present.
Yeah.
That will get you dismissed from the program. Since people are going to be hearing this, they need to know, do not give any medication without your clinical instructor.
Dismissed from the program. Oh, like you're out. There is no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you're working under the license of that clinical instructor, and you have to be licensed to give medication. So, you just can't give medications without.
So you're not only breaking, is it a law?
Yeah, you have to be licensed to administer medications.
So not only you're breaking a law by giving medicine, but you're also putting people's lives in danger.
Yeah.
And you're putting that nurse or doctor's license in danger by...
Not really the doctors, but the nurse
The
for
nurses.
sure.
The nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, you do that and...
We're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because from what I've heard, especially heart medication, if you give it wrong dose, it's like KO. There is no second chance there. I mean, I've heard about Narcan, but I mean, there's a limit to what it can do, I think.
Yeah. And so as students progress through the semesters, they're allowed to get certain levels of medication. So, IV push is a route for medication. They can't give anything IV push until they get to third semester. And they can't give any cardiac IV push drugs whatsoever until they graduate and get it licensed themselves, even when they're in their practicum with their preceptor in their last semester. So
this might sound like a stupid question, but how about ibuprofen?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So over-the-counter is fine?
No, all medication in the hospital has to be under a doctor's order.
Okay.
Even if it's something as simple as a Tylenol, you have to have an order for it. And to administer medications in a setting like that, you have to be licensed.
Okay. So but you can't bypass it. I mean, someone has to administer it, and
you have to be licensed to do that. Yeah.
So that's why I say that, because some people will still go give medicines and say they didn't know. So I want to go ahead and preface this now. Do not give anything without your clinical instructor present.
I was about to say, why do I have a feeling that you've experienced that? Because the look on your face tells me that I've seen students do this.
I haven't personally had any students do it, but yeah, I've heard of different scenarios, and you've worked so hard to get here. You don't want to screw it up by something so simple as that.
So wear your uniform properly. Don't mix your socks on purpose. Don't look like you just woke up. Be on time. Do you guys want to add anything else?
Do your assignments on time. So when you're in the clinical setting, you have weekly things that you have to fill out. You have documentation that you have to do. You have what's called a CET, which is an evaluation tool that your instructor grades you on. So if they say, hey, this is due by next Friday, it needs to be turned in by that next Friday. It's just like I tell my students this all the time. This is an assignment, but we treat it kind of like your medications. You can't be late on your medications or somebody has consequences. So I treat that stuff like an order, like a medication. You have to do it on time because everything in nursing is on a time frame.
So it's not like you go to class and you say, my dog chewed my my dog chewed my homework, or something happened, and
that's not going to work.
That's So this is business in the
Again-
sense of
Again, that word accountability.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be accountable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be honest, we've had some students that take that very seriously and they respect that and they have no problems. I mean, I've got some students that are super proactive in that, and I've got some that I have to feel like I'm pulling teeth to get assignments from. And I tell them, when you graduate, your supervisor is going to have problems with you if you practice this way or have these behaviors in practice. We're teaching you to be a professional as well. So
yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Because once you get out of college, I mean, there is no messing around really.
Right.
Nursing is already it's already a job where people are bleeding for. I mean, there's a big need for nurses.
yeah, we're still in a nursing shortage for sure.
And you messing around and not taking accountability, I don't think is gonna fly because, like we touched on, you're responsible for people's lives eventually,
Absolutely.
and you can't be playing around there,
Right.
and having fun.
Yeah,
Well,
and the other thing I tell my students too when we go to clinical, I'm like, okay, you're going to see all kinds of things in this setting that you're not accustomed to, because I've had some students never walked into a hospital other than maybe to visit a relative. But to work in that environment is overwhelming. So, I mean, we do things like orient them and things like that to make them more comfortable. But I always tell them to, sometimes just stop and look around and just soak it in and observe. And I tell them two things. You're going to find people that do well, excel, and that you could probably see being your mentor one day, which is great. You're also going to see people that you don't want to be like. And both of those are very important because nursing students are so stressed. They're like, I just need to get this done to check it off because I've got task C, D, E, F, G, F, all the way to Z. And it's not about just checking task off. It's actually about learning and soaking that in and how to apply that and stuff. And so yeah, I tell them they're both equally important.
So I was just thinking about this when you were talking about, and they said you need to check off, because I know some nurses personally. My sister was a nurse, actually. Now she's a midwife. But do you see a difference between men and women in the field? Are men usually less stressed? Or, because I could tell you right now, I know one guy who's gonna start the BSN program with me. He is on the same level freak out as but many other students, and I'm like, was he crying? His brother came to me and he said he was crying. I said, crying when getting the email congratulations? I said, okay. I mean, I'm not knocking it. If you want to cry, be my guest. It's just, since I've been into so many environments in and out, and I've lost people in my life, it feels like I've just come to the point where I'm very used to it. I mean, if someone passes away, I will feel sad. I may cry, but I don't let it affect me in that way. And students who are with me, around me a lot, they know you can't stress me. I look at it, it's like, oh, I got a 69. Okay.
I wish I was like that.
You know what I mean? Because it comes back to the word accountability, because I know I didn't put in effort enough to get higher than 69.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That says a lot, because when you talk about self-awareness and the accountability aspect, if you're not willing to be that person, you're going to struggle, because you come in there like, I don't know why I got the 65. Well, let's talk about it. Let's be real here, but to answer your question between male and female nurses, we do need more male nurses in the industry for sure. For two reasons. One, I think males bring a lot to the table for sure. It has been probably my experience that they do seem less stressed on the outside.
Yeah.
Now, they may be feeling more on the inside. But also the patients receive a male nurse differently too.
Okay.
And it's usually positively.
Yeah, my husband's a nurse, and so the there's a certain stigma when a male walks in. It's like a comfort, a security. We always joke about how if there was nothing but men running the ER, it would be very proficient. It would be, everything would be done. Everything would be to a T. But then they don't oftentimes have that compassion and nurturing that women typically have.
Yes.
So you need a combination of both. It's not that one's better or not. It's meeting your patient's needs and getting to that place where they need you to be. So if they need that comforter, sometimes that male nurse is a better one for them for like that security, but then some need you to just sit there and pray with them and hold their hand. So it's neither one is better. It's just what strengths do you have and which one can they bring to the table at that time?
Yeah, and I don't. I mean, I need to clarify this because I wasn't asking that question to see, okay, so who's the better nurse
No.
here? Because obviously, wherever you go, you have people who are very good, like you said, at different things. So you have people who excel in taking care of patients, but then you have someone who's really good at logistics and stuff like that. So we all have our strengths.
Sure.
So to clarify that, I wasn't, pitting it against.
No.
And we were talking also, the students I was talking to, they said that what can make a difference is if you have a male, for example, an older male, and he needs to strip down, he would feel more comfortable having a male than having like a 20-year-old female.
Yes.
Right.
So there are different things, but I would see it interesting because I see it from my lens in the sense of I don't stress much, and I was like, okay, so what's the difference? So that's why I wanted to get it. It's like what is the difference? Because you guys have seen a lot more than me.
Yeah.
So, but I think you guys have.
I would say men are a lot less emotional than we are. That would be the difference. They're a lot more logical in the nursing standpoint. And I think that's just the anatomy of men and women anyways.
Yes, you guys use your emotional side, even though you do have as much logic as us, at least. I think I've read that in a study somewhere. So I love that kind of stuff. I don't need to dive into that. But now let me know the good stories and the bad stories. I want to start with the bad stories here. Well, I can give me a horror story. I mean, it needs to be bad.
Oh, goodness. Well, I had to say this, like, I have tons of stories from my personal nursing experience and also with students, but there is a level of confidentiality that we have to honor, of course.
That's understandable.
For both patients and students. So I don't want to,
I don't want to out anybody.
Right. Well, also, I don't want to violate.
That either. Yeah.
Yeah. So with nurses, we have to follow HIPAA regulations, which is privacy and all that kind of stuff. So, so I'm trying to think of a scenario where I won't be violating that. So.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to go right now too. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, it can be anything. I mean, okay, so if you guys can't find a story of a student because of the HIPAA regulations, it's fine. I understand that and I respect that. So if you guys want to choose something from your own story, you can. It's I mean, did you guys heard about the maggots in the coffee?
Not in the coffee, but I have seen them in wounds before.
Have had some stories
You have seen
with
them in
those.
wounds? No, this was like trickling down from the nose and stuff.
No,
that was
no.
one of the episodes that she was talking about. And
I missed that.
Yeah, that's the horror story. Like
I've had one.
I want to
like that.
know what did you have?
Maggots in the nose.
Really?
I have had that.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I'm just trying to figure out.
I'm just scared I'm breaking HIPAA somehow. I'm trying to make sure I don't break HIPAA anyway. It was just
okay. So tell me. Okay, so maybe this will help you answer that question. What causes that? I mean, like, how do you get to that level?
It's typically it's a fly that just lands and lays eggs. And my patient at the time was near death.
Okay.
To be honest with you, and he just happened to. I walked in that day and they were coming out of his nose, and it was.
So is it? Would you say then it's when you say close to death? I'm assuming he can't take care of the patient can't take care of themselves the way a normal human does. So because of that, the risk is higher.
It really is.
Honestly, that could have been a lot of things. It could be the environment they were living in, not necessarily their personal cleanliness or anything. It may. I can give you an example. I had a patient one time. I was ordered to go out and do dressing changes, and I took the dressing off, and maggots were in the wound.
Mm-hmm.
Dressing changes is you
like this
changing for
like this patient had. You may know it as a bed sore.
Okay.
We call it a pressure injury now.
Okay.
This patient was bedbound, and so I was taken back, of course. And so obviously had to deal with that, clean that out, and follow the doctor's orders to change the dressing and all that. However, back in the day, that used to be a form of treatment.
I was about to say, it used to clean the wound.
It did. Yeah. So it used to be back in the day before we had all this great wound care products that we have on the market now and so forth, that the doctor would order maggots to be placed into an infected wound because it would eat away the infectious or dead tissue so that good tissue could grow.
I've seen that.
So I wasn't completely shocked by it, but it was still something you don't, see on a regular basis for sure. And then, my mind is kind of all over the place. Like 30 years of nursing, like I could tell you so many stories, but and I could tell you so many different stories, that good and bad. But like for instance, when I worked in home health, I would go into homes that were, dirt floors, bugs growing in patients' hair, and bed sores, and just the worst of the worst scenarios. And it was for multiple reasons, poverty and so forth. And then by that afternoon, I would be in the CEO of a company's home, doing a different type of care. And so it's just all over the place. And that's the thing about nursing. It's never boring, that's for sure. And I've seen, when I worked hospice, I have seen a lot of death, good and bad. And hospice is its own thing, that's for sure. It's nothing like working in the hospital acute care. I've seen some really beautiful deaths, and I've seen some horrific deaths before.
I learned about hospice actually here in the United States, because we have a little bit different thing. In the Middle East, if your parent gets so bad that you need to take care of them, you take care of them.
Yeah.
Sending them to a nursing home is almost unheard of. It's a little bit more common today, but I would still argue that it's still almost unheard of. Now, hospice is basically making it as comfortable as possible for you to pass away.
Correct. You have to have a diagnosis that says that you are expected to pass within 6 months.
Okay.
So yeah.
I witnessed that with a neighbor of mine. I was helping her at the end of her life, and they called in hospice. She died, I think, about a week after that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I was not used to that at all.
Yeah.
Because hospice sounds to me like, hospitality, hospital.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
It's for end of life care for sure.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that's the beautiful thing about nursing is when you graduate, especially after you get a little bit of experience under your belt, like there are so many avenues that you can go with that license. I mean, you can do acute care like Pastor Keen and I do. We work in the acute care setting at the hospital right now. You can do home health. You can do management. You can do insurance. I mean, you can work in surgery centers. You can work in GI labs. I mean, your possibilities are just endless.
Okay, so let's shift it a little bit. Have you guys had any students experience death on a clinical or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
So let's just switch to that and see if we can do something about that instead, because I think it's important. How do you help them deal with death? Because that's like you said, some people experience it a lot, and then some people have never experienced it. So,
yeah, for me, I had a group of 3 students working with this one particular patient, and the patient coded, and it was unexpected. And so
coded mean
that their heart stopped beating and they stopped breathing and had to administer CPR. So the patient coded. It was unexpected, and I had 3 students working with that. Then the doctor was in the room when it happened. Students were not caring for the patient at the time. The patient was actually having a procedure when it happened. And so I heard the code call. I ran down to the room, and they were just like wide-eyed, like, I can't believe this happened right in front of their eyes. They're newer students. I think they were only second semester. They thought they were just there to watch a procedure, and this happened unexpectedly. So they were devastated that this happened, and they got to witness me having to help the physician call and notify the family, and you have to have a witness with that. And so I actually pulled them aside for a few minutes and said, hey, let's get over in a corner by ourselves. We need to talk. Are y'all okay, first of all? And they were just like crying and sad and all this kind of stuff. But also in their mind, they're trying to process like their nursing brain, like what happened, how, all this kind of stuff. So in that particular scenario, it was just me taking them aside to care for them as a person first, because they just witnessed a death. Some of them had never seen a death. And then also as their instructor, like guiding them through that, because if that happened to their patient while they were there, they still have to care for that patient afterwards and do postmortem care. And that's difficult for anybody to do, but especially a student. And so
postmortem care is washing them and
yeah, it's washing them, preparing their body for the family to come in and view them should they choose to do that before they're taken to the funeral home.
Okay.
And so I asked the students, because it is part of nursing care, it's the tough side of nursing care, but I asked them, I said, do you want to do that? And they were like, I would be honored to do that for this patient. And so they did, and I obviously was right there with them. And so it was sad for them, but it was also a wonderful learning experience for them, not just for nursing, but just life. Mm-hmm. And so when the family came in, the family was extremely complimentary of the students and said he looked like he was just asleep. And that meant volumes to the students that they cared for the patient at that level, And I know that's a sad example. Mm-hmm. But yeah, have you've had students experience that?
Yes. Well, actually, the patient died passed at shift change, and so we came in to do postmortem care. And my students at that time had never had a patient pass, so when we go in there, you can see the shock on their face. They're like, "Oh, they look like they're still here, but they're not breathing." And I take this time to tell them it's okay. It's okay if you're emotional. It's okay if you feel hurt or you've express what that is, because this is a privilege that we get to do to help comfort this patient and their family. I always tell them it's kind of like a dignity type thing, mm-hmm. that we get to transition and take care of them at a time that is very vulnerable for anybody.
Yeah, that's an intimate time.
Yeah, it's a very intimate mm-hmm. time. So I try to place emphasis on that. And what we did is we cleaned them up, took care of them. A couple of students had to step out because they were very teary-eyed, which is okay. I forget sometimes we see it all the time, and from a student's perspective, I forget how shocking it can be. Yeah. But I just try to say that it's a dignity type thing, and just not to downplay what it is, but that we also get the privilege to help during this time.
Yeah, and then we spend a lot of time when we go to clinical. We have a pre-briefing, they do clinical, and we have post conferences. And so, in situations like mm-hmm. that, we really dive deep into that mm-hmm. debriefing and make sure they're okay and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm gonna transition into our tradition. We have a tradition. I'm stealing a lot of things from a lot of podcasts here.
Okay.
But we have a tradition where basically, and I got inspired by the movie Pay It Forward. Have you seen it?
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's actually I wouldn't say a super good movie, but it's a good movie.
Okay.
And the ending I was not ready for that ending, so I have to say that. I'm not gonna spoil a lot for you guys, but you should watch it. But it's basically someone doing something, and then you pay it forward. So like someone does something good, so you take that and then you pay it forward.
Kind of like paying for the person's
mm-hmm.
order behind you in the drive-through line. Gotcha.
Exactly. So what would you what would you say? What would you want people to do? What would you like to see more of?
In nursing, you mean?
Yes. Like, how would you like nurses to pay it forward? You've been a nurse for 30 years, so I'm putting you on a spot
You
here.
sure are.
Wait,
I thought
should we start with her? Because you have
fine.
always started answering.
Go ahead.
I would say right now is, as nurses, a lot of us are burned out.
Okay.
And the mentality at the bedside has shifted from caring more to sometimes I see it as it's just a job. I would love to see nurses come back to the core of what we are, and it's that caring mentality. Not here just to get a paycheck. And not saying that's everybody. It's just, it's a lot right now being a nurse. With the shortage, you're very exhausted. And COVID changed the dynamic of nursing. So I would love to see nursing come back to that foundation of truly, truly caring. Like I said, that's not everybody. It's just some people get out there and they forget why they did what they did. Go back to why you became a nurse, why you do this. It's not just about, oh, I'm a nurse. It's you went into it to take care of people.
You said bedside.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
That's working in the hospital setting or home health care or
one-on-one care
yeah,
with a patient.
mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. So just go back to why you became a nurse. A lot of people forget that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would probably say never forget what it felt like for you to be a student. So when you get out on your own and you're practicing and the group of 8 students comes and you've got that list of 25,000 things that you need to do, take that student in. Be willing to pull that student in and mentor them because, there is a phenomenon called nurses eat their young. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Eat their young?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, that's a whole other podcast. But yeah, read up on that. And so it's a hard industry and hard profession to work in, not only because of what you're doing in your job, but in some certain cultures, there can be, I'm just going to be very honest, like there's some bullying going on in the workforce, all that kind of thing. And so, not all nurses are receptive to students. And so I always tell students, don't forget what it felt like your first day when you stepped on that hospital floor. So just be a mentor. I'm very, very passionate about mentorship in general. So be that person. Professor Kane and I, when we work in the hospital environment, we also precept new employees too. And so, even if they have a lot of experience, that's a new environment for them. You just kind of, just take them on in and say, come on, you go with me. That's super important, I think, because, they may be, we're still in a nursing shortage. And so if you don't take those people in and mentor them, then you're shooting yourself in the foot, not to mention, that's a person, an individual.
I was going to tell you that, but I'm also assuming that if someone says I don't want to be a mentor, then don't be, because the mentorship's probably not going to be of a good quality anyway.
Right.
But you said just take them in anyway. So what do you think? I mean, should you mentor a student even if you absolutely don't want to do it?
That's not what I meant by that. I'm
so
sorry, I may have misspoke on that.
So you have to be in the mentality of actually
of sharing your knowledge, like letting them tag with you, teaching them as you go, helping them grow, that type of thing.
Have patience.
Oh, 100%.
Have patience. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I had a supervisor at the airport. Horrible. Yeah, she just wanted me to work super fast, and I'm like, bruh. I was like, I'm new here, so can we, take it a little bit easier, just so I can get it. And then granted, I did become a lot faster at checking in, but in the beginning, everything takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said you're always going to be, I think it's Jordan Peterson that said you're going to be a fraud in the beginning because you have no idea what to do. But eventually you will know.
Like impostor syndrome?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of nurses feel that. I actually have an undergraduate student who's going to present at the undergraduate symposium on Thursday. So I want to say a shout out to that. Let everybody come and see that. She's going to do a poster presentation. Our topic was, why are nurses leaving the workforce after 1 year?
On Thursday?
Yeah.
I might actually come on
Yeah, that we have podium and poster presentations.
here.
Yes,
Okay.
over in IC on the 4th
Okay.
floor. So anyway,
After 1 year.
yeah,
It's a
People-
big turnover.
Really?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, so people go through nursing, they go work for a year, and then they were like, bye.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
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 And I
Okay.
think it's a lot of the burnout that you're
Mhm.
talking about. They burn out quickly. Patients are sicker these days than they used to be, so there's a higher acuity.
Mm-hmm. Higher stress.
Yep.
Higher. You feel like you have a lot more responsibilities, and it's also a culture shock coming out. You have this perception of what nursing is, and then you come out and you're like, whoa. So there's a big misunderstanding in what all is going on, and not a misunderstanding. It's just a lot.
But I thought the clinicals took care of that.
Not entirely.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So,
When you graduate nursing school, you're going to be able to hopefully pass the NCLEX and be a safe nurse.
Mhm.
I always tell students the real learning begins when you start working,
okay.
because experience is the best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And what's a safe nurse?
Just knowing the basic rules of how to do the task of a nurse.
Mhm.
Okay.
But the experience is a whole other,
Mm-hmm.
teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of the best teachers
Mhm.
because you have to learn how to encounter doctors and how to follow hospital procedures and handle family members. And I always say the poor nurse, everybody's like, I want a glass of water. Well, tell your nurse. Anybody can get a glass of water.
Mhm.
I need a pair of socks. Well, tell the nurse. Oh my gosh, the
Mhm.
poor nurse,
Mm-hmm. The poor nurse, really, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why I love, like I told you, I'm a hands-on person
Mhm.
because I know you learn a lot on the field that you
Absolutely.
will
Mhm.
not learn in a book.
Right.
So what were your thoughts? Do you think this was an interrogation?
No, I loved it. This
Yeah.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Would you guys love to come back?
Absolutely, I would.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna try to get as many students and faculty. My goal is to get all faculty and staff
Oh, nice.
to just down here eventually and share their experiences because you guys have clinical, and you guys are clinical instructors.
Yeah, we do both. But yeah, we
but
do go to
you
clinical.
guys, yeah. But there are other people who are doing other things. I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we both still lecture, like you'll see us in the classroom, but we have some other faculty that do not go to clinical and only lecture.
Like Professor Tucker does simulation.
Yeah, it should be a
Mhm.
great one.
Mhm.
We'll spread the word, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ms. Tucker does lab and simulation. She'd have great
Yeah,
perspectives and stuff.
that is a big asset that we have here that some people do not have at other colleges. So that would be a good thing to talk about.
Simulation is, I'm assuming, you play out something that may happen in the
Yes.
hospital.
Yes,
Okay.
it's
Because
what we call a safe zone.
Because I saw photos. Where did I see the photos? I think it was during the, I'm not sure, but I think it was during the luncheon last week where they had photos and we saw Dr. Bishop standing behind a desk in her nursing outfit, and then she was talking to other students who had nursing outfit.
She was
Because
in
I've seen the labs. They're
Yeah.
they're huge.
They're top notch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it feels like when I saw that photo, the first feeling that struck, I was like, this is gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have so much fun because you're put into the actual scenario, even though it's not an actual scenario. But this is
Yeah,
gonna be
it trains you for it because you can't hurt the mannequin. So it's a safe zone. It's a wonderful place for students to learn and also make mistakes, and it's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you should invite her. We'll spread the word as well.
Yes, she actually said she would love to attend, but
Good.
she wanted someone else to do
Oh, we're
the
guinea
faculty.
pigs.
Yeah.
More like she is. What is she? She's the head of nursing, or she's
Miss Tucker?
no, Dr. Bishop.
Yeah, she's the director of
So
nursing.
she wanted someone else to do it instead of just like starting
Oh yeah.
with her and Dr. Vilches, because I was gonna grab them both, but
Yeah, we were happy to come.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And one goal is to have faculty and student.
I thought about that.
That would be
Yeah, that
fun.
would be that would be a lot of fun,
Mhm.
and see what they have to say and
Right.
all that good stuff. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Of
thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it.